Now, okay, so I have been doing this, like, this is I think, like, the fourth take, and I was just talking to my roommate. मैं हिंदी में बात करूँ क्या? मेरे को समझ नहीं आ रहा है. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Yeah, just whatever language that goes, and whatever happens. Okay, guys. Guys, dude, it feels so weird. Okay. Uh, Welcome to Retarded Creativity. On this show, I'm going to give myself 1 hour to be creative. I don't have any set rules. I will like apply rules and see how things go from there. So you know what? Let's just start with a timer. So I'm here setting a timer for 1 hour. You guys can see it here. Oh, I mean, you can see it now. And yeah, now that we have the timer in place, let's try to do something creative. I don't know what I'm supposed to say next, but I think I'll probably start with writing down talking points, right? So one sort of talking point would be, why am I doing this? Why is this even, why should you care? I don't think you should actually. Should you care? I will type everything down. I feel so weird because this is like one of those streaming things that people do, like just talk all the time. I guess this is the future, but बकचोद. You know, AI भी ये कुछ तो बकचोद बिल्ली करके कोई तो है ना, कोई तो चीज. Yeah, I don't know. जाके देख dude. बकचोद बिल्ली. Anyways, creativity, right? I have no idea. Girls speaking. Yeah, that could be their brand, right? Girls doing Bakchod Billi. Yeah, it would be like Indian porn stars, maybe.
What?
No?
In India have monsters.
I don't know, dude. Like, have you ever searched? See, that's the thing.
I
We.
don't want to see that.
Oh. Why? Why don't you? That I think that is racist, bro. But hey, this is really cool, right? Like, I could actually start talking about racism. Like, what? Yeah, I could actually. Okay. I feel like you should be on this show with me. That's gonna really help propel the show.
We do that in the podcast.
We should. Actually, you know what? I do have one of my episodes with a teacher, like basically for YouTube,
Okay.
where I'm supposed to make a collaborative video.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, one day you could get on your computer and we could do a Zoom call, and I could record the whole thing, and that could be an episode.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, and then मेरा वो YouTube का भी काम हो गया, and एक episode. अरे वाह क्या जी. Okay, and we could probably talk about the scholarships or whatnot. Okay. We are 3.5 minutes in. I already feel like I have wasted a lot of your time, but here's to wasting another 56 minutes. Uh, all right. So why am I doing this? I am doing this because I think that there is something missing in the world. I think that people are very, very creative, but they just don't understand that they are. And anytime they are being creative, they somehow there's like some sort of belief that holds them back, or something that stops them from saying something. And that's essentially what I wanted to address, and hopefully I can get people to a place where they are able to be more creative, kind of like not have a writer's block of sorts. So in my experience, creativity is essentially has been like splicing two things, right? So let's splice like two things. Like, I have been watching a lot of videos on artificial intelligence, and I've been seeing how humans are now going to transform into becoming robots. And obviously that's an idea which people might think is kind of crazy, or somebody might think it's going to happen depending on where you are. And yeah, so let's talk about artificial intelligence. Right? Oh, I need to get better with typing. So artificial intelligence, and the second thing that I want to splice it with is Ableton. Okay, so a little bit of information about both of these things. What do I know about artificial intelligence? Right? Yeah, let's ask that question to ourselves. What do I know about artificial intelligence? Well, you know what? Let's put this up here. Well, it's essentially, I would say, a robot intelligence, right? I'd say it's what? No, don't do that. Why did you stop doing that? Okay, wait, let me get the camera back up. Nope. You should see me now. You don't though. Let me see if you can see me now. Wait a second. Wow, what a beautiful challenge to have. Are you still not gonna work? God damn it. Okay. I guess I stop recording now and fix this and come back. All right, fix the problem. Let's move ahead. So what do I know about artificial intelligence? It's essentially robot intelligence. In other words, I'd say artificial intelligence is like a human level AI, right? So basically, you could converse with an AI and you'd think that it is human. Let's say that. And Ableton is, I think it's a beautiful software. It's an amazing digital audio workstation. So it's a digital audio workstation, and what can you do with that? So this is what Ableton does. Okay, so Ableton essentially enables you to produce music all by yourself, all at your own convenience, at your own house. It used to be earlier that you had to go to a record label, you had to get a record deal, you know, somebody would finance you, then you would get access to a studio with really expensive equipment, and then finally you could put out your music, and then they had to distribute it, and that was a hard process, and also every instrument had to be recorded. But today we live in an age where everything has been recorded and it's been turned into samples, right? So what does that mean? I think I should explain that, right? I don't know if I should. Again, this is my first episode, so if you guys have any questions or if you want to say something, please by all means, you know, let me know. But sample. So this is what a sample is. Let's say I play a single note on the guitar, right? Now that would be a sample for a particular note, and I recorded it in a certain place, and now I can record it in different notes, and I can sample all of them into different notes in Ableton as samples. I know I should be able to explain this better. Okay. Okay, you know what? I am going to. Okay, so let's do this. So this is Ableton right here, and I have my. So this is kind of what samples essentially means. So if you see over here on my screen right now, you can see over here that I have like a hi-hat sound. Now this is a drum kit, and this particular hi-hat has a particular sound, and this is how it sounds. Right, so I'm hitting that on my MIDI keyboard, and it's creating a sound, but that's essentially been played by somebody. There's actual human who played that, and then it was recorded, and now it has been brought into Ableton. So you can pretty much do this with any kind of music. You can bring everything in, and you can create things from scratch. So you don't need a guitarist, or you don't need a drummer, you don't need a bassist. While I say that, that's kind of not true, because when you learn to play anything, or when you learn any skill, or when you learn anything in general, you get a very internal connection with that thing. It's kind of like I wish I was good at analogies. It's kind of like, you holding a pencil and writing something, and when you're writing, you're not thinking I'm holding a pencil and I'm moving it vertically, moving it down, moving it horizontally with this pressure at this angle. So let's write all of that down. Actually, vertical movement of the pencil, you are writing vertical, horizontal movement, and so on, pressure. Or one more thing I will right now note down is that I was thinking of the writing thing in a two-dimensional space, but that doesn't need to be the case, because today we are living in a 3D world, and all the games that we experience are becoming 3D, because with virtual reality. So maybe I was wrong earlier. I was wrong to say that a pencil only works in a 2D space. Now it works in a 3D space, so hey, I think there's some cool ideas that probably come from here. I just thought of an idea, which was like, imagine a video game where you're wearing virtual reality goggles, and you're making this pen, right? Now, if you've worked with a pencil or with a paintbrush or anything like that, it's essentially how hard you're pressing with the pencil that determines the pressure. And if you have a paintbrush, how much water is there, and that's kind of determining how it's spreading, and also what kind of paper it is on. So it's how much it's absorbing. And perhaps this 3D world that we are making, we could give it these properties, right? So we could give the space itself the properties of coarseness or dryness, and the 3D brush that you have is having the opposite, like it's having like the smoothness filter, or it's having like brush strokes, and I mean all of those things. So essentially a 3D world that you could create with a pencil, a 3D pencil. Again, I know that we started off with artificial intelligence and Ableton, but right now we are talking about maybe virtual reality and pencils, and creating virtual worlds. Maybe we might come back, but that's the entire process of being creative. It's very, very messy, and you have to allow yourself to let it be chaotic. Like, look at the start of this episode. I was like all over the place, but I feel like I'm kind of getting somewhere right now. Anyways, back to the topic. So 3D world, we are making a 3D world that you could create with a 3D pencil. How would this pencil work? How would this pencil work? Perhaps like now I'll tell you something that I have been learning how to animate, and let me show you something. So this is okay. So this is my writing and like a drawing tablet, you can say, and this is the pen. I know you can't, like, it's not getting into focus, but it's essentially a pen which has like some buttons, and it has like a nib, and the pressure is sensitive on the pad itself, you know. So if I'm like drawing something, with how much pressure I'm doing it, it is kind of creating that. I think it would be a good idea to demonstrate that in Photoshop maybe. So let me go ahead and pull that up. Oh, sorry about that. What is that? Nope. Goddamn, did I? Wait a second. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, this is gonna be here. Okay. Yep. So let me pull up Photoshop and let me close Ableton. Nope. Okay. So, all right. So now I want to show you how this pencil really works. Oh, that's not ideal. Perhaps I should change the screen. Okay, wait, just a second, guys. Let's do another display capture 2. Yeah, okay. And I'm gonna select this. No, this. Okay. So I know that doesn't make any sense right now, but just give me a second. Yes, and stop this. Okay. So how do I go about this? Okay, so what I need to do right now is switch off this display capture and switch this on. So I'm going to switch this on, and that means it's under it. And now you can see my Photoshop. Not yet. You can see it now. Yes, I think you can see it now. So let's just go ahead and open a new project. Yeah, we'll just call it RC1. 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 Yeah, let's just call it RC1. Okay, and I'm gonna press OK. So let's go ahead and add a new layer, and now I'm gonna do something on this, right? So I want you to notice what's gonna happen right now. So I'm gonna draw on my drawing tablet. Up. I need to also set up the. Just a second, guys. I'm so sorry. Yes. Need to set up the drawing tablet. Yeah, honestly, I mean, now that I'm doing all of this, I'm starting to feel like I should, you know, I should have done a better job. So sorry about that, but let's go to our work area. Yeah, okay, apply. Okay, all right, I got it working, guys. Okay, so check this out. Now, this is what we were talking about earlier. I was talking about a pencil, and this is a brush. So I've opened a brush tool, and it has a pixel size, and there's so many different brushes. You know, let's pick this one for example, and we're gonna paint with a certain color. So let's pick like a cool color. Let's pick like a orange. Okay. No, I don't like that one. Why is it so bad? Okay, this is good. And now let's see how this looks. You know, now it's creating the same kind of the opacity, or it's like no matter how hard I'm pressing it, it's still, I'm pressing very softly, but it is creating the same kind of thing. So now I'm gonna go ahead and press this flow level, and now depending on how much pressure I'm applying, it is going to increase that. But honestly, it's not doing such a good job actually, because I still feel it's, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Let's pick a simpler brush, something that I understand relatively better. And so again, that's, yeah, now you can see. So now with this brush, and actually I'm just gonna go ahead and add another layer, and let's just remove this. With this brush, if I'm pressing it softly, you know, it's creating a very faint line. But if I'm pressing it hard, it's creating a very, very dark line. So I could pretty much like have that variability, and you can see how even at the end, oh my god, it's like so nice, like how it's starting and then it kind of goes off, you know, the stroke ends. But such a beautiful software, such a beautiful, amazingly creative software that is there. And this is kind of what I guess we could look at. So what if there was like a 3D Photoshop, right? And how would you create things in this 3D world? And I'm sure there is, like, I think there's Blender and stuff, but I think you still have to program these things in. I guess I don't know much about that. So Pencil, Ableton, artificial intelligence, right? Huh. How did we get here? I feel like how did we get here? So let's think about that for a second. Artificial intelligence. Yeah, so the reason I think why I started with this whole thing is I wanted to show how to splice two ideas and bring them together, and how that essentially works. So I was thinking about this the other day, that what if you know how amazingly creative Jacob Collier is. He is so talented, and honestly I'm a little jealous of him, that he is, you know, so talented, and he can play all these different instruments, and he can explain these musical concepts which I can't understand. You know, which perhaps means like I'm a bad student, or maybe he's a bad teacher, I don't know. But probably I'm a bad student. Let's go with that. But this is kind of what I wanted to say. What I realized is, anybody who ever creates any sort of music, you know, anything new, they create something, and then somebody else learns from what they did, and then they add on top, right? This is my been my experience. Like, let's say Apple created the iPhone. Again, I don't know if any of this is true, but probably I'm just being wrong here. But wrong and right doesn't exist in the world of creativity. There are no morals, there are no boundaries. You can think whatever you want, right? So Apple created what was that thing? The iPhone, right? And then they created like touchscreen apps and stuff like that. And then other people saw, oh, this is how they did it, this is how they made this technology, and then they created other devices. So Apple is the market leader. It is creating these amazingly beautiful products for everybody to use. But for people like me who can't afford Apple products, we have to buy Android products, right? And perhaps they are bad, or perhaps they are good. I don't know. I mean, they serve their purpose for me. But he created something. He thought of something in his head, and then he brought it into the real world. And because of what he created, now look at that. Everybody has like a phone in their pockets. They have a camera on that, and now they're shooting videos everywhere, you know. And that technology worked in along with YouTube. And then you were able to literally shoot anything, put it on YouTube, put it on Instagram, put it anywhere, and you can share it with the world. And somebody in the world who probably thinks like you or is at the same wavelength can now find you and kind of find the more friends who are more in the domain of what they are trying to achieve, what they are trying to learn and grow, and all of these things. So I was thinking, how would it be if you could have like an artificial intelligence Ableton. So let's say you're walking down the street, right? So you're walking down the street, and I'm just gonna quickly do a check-in with the timer here. I don't want to. I have 35 more minutes. I'm gonna do a thing. I'm gonna set up a 20-minute timer just so that I can start wrapping up as I'm getting close to the end. So 25-minute timer, which is gonna give me 10 minutes in the end. Okay, so you're walking down the street, and let's say you have a song in mind. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is how I feel. Like anytime I'm walking, and there's like just like a cool little bass line that comes up in my mind, and then I'm thinking like da 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 da, right? And now that was the idea that I just had. But for it to go from that idea to something that you could hear, I have to first now, let's actually just do this. So all right, this is my bass guitar right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and play. Right? So I thought of an idea, and then in order for me to play it, I had to like think, okay, what does it sound like? Da 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 da. So I'm gonna leave this right here. I will dress better in the future. I know I'm not like dressed YouTube ready, but I will get there. I think I'm trying to start this, and hopefully with the next episode it'll get better. It will get better with time, as all things do. So yeah, I just thought of a bass line, and now I'm walking down the street. I don't have a bass guitar with me when I'm walking down the street, and this is my limitation, right? Then I have to record the idea in my phone, and then it's by the time I go ahead and I connect to Ableton and I'm like playing it, it's not that fun anymore. It might be that you created some more ideas on top of that, but that's the whole point. Like you thought of a bass line, and then you had to write something, and there's that time difference. Now I've been learning about artificial intelligence and brain computer interfaces. So a little bit about brain computer interfaces, right? Brain computer interfaces are essentially these devices which like instead of you connecting your brain to your phone through an external source, it would be directly connected into your brain. So it would be connected to your visual cortex, to your auditory part of your brain, and basically however you experience the world. And we can go ahead and say that we experience the world through 5 senses. Of course there's more to that, but I think above that it gets to like emotions, which is a great place to start. Emotions, perspectives. These are great ways to be creative. But okay, so I had this idea that like, what if I just play that bass line, da 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 da. Now in my head I'm just hearing a very basic drum track, Right, so obviously I'm building on top of that, but the entire problem is that I'm limited by how much I can think. Like I don't have a great rhythmic sense compared to a drummer, right? the drummer is probably going to think of some 16th note grooves, or he's going to have a more better understanding of what is possible and what is not possible physically on a drum kit. And so he or she would be able to create these rhythms which I could never think about. But whatever I do think about, it's now captured. So this is what I was thinking, like, what if you could have an Ableton, right now they've come out with Ableton Live 11. What if Ableton Live, let's say they come out with a couple more iterations over the next couple of years. So by Ableton Live, let's say 15, right? Ableton Live 15, it's gonna have a brain-computer interface where you have everybody, like how you have an app on your phone, you would have the Ableton app on your phone, right? And it's like a premium paid service or something. But when you're walking down the street, you have and you think of an idea, you think of some music, and you just start thinking, right? And your brain is going to analyze, like, oh, this is that note, this is that note, and it's going to automatically correct your notes to those certain pitches. It's going to bring in drum samples, and it's going to show you all the drum libraries in your brain itself. And it's going to know that, oh, this is kind of what he's thinking. And I have a drum sound which is kind of similar to what he's thinking. And then it could bring that sample in. I think how that search interface would work would be like, somebody else like me has gone through that process before. Right, so somebody else would have been like, I don't like that drum groove, I like that drum groove, I don't like that drum pack, I don't like that sample pack. And then suddenly they're like, I like that sample pack. And their neurology and their life experiences and how they look at the world, if their view is concurrent or similar to how I think, it's going to recommend the similar kind of thing, kind of like how YouTube recommendations work or things like that. And then you could pick their sample library pack, and then you could create the drum groove in your head, and if you know anything about like Ableton Live, let's just go ahead and open Ableton quickly again. So one cool thing about Ableton is like you can mix and master. You have to equalize, you have to do all of these different things. Like you can see, like over here, I have like 4 tracks set up with vocals, bass. Oh my God, okay. With all these different things that are there here, and they have these effects on it. So each of these effects could now, instead of me thinking and like doing like with my mouse and moving all of this, they're gonna find an intuitive way to have this all connected to your brain. So you could think, oh, I think this needs more saturation, and then it's gonna be intuitive, and it's gonna add that saturation. You're gonna think, oh, I don't like how it sounds in that particular frequency range. And then it's gonna go ahead and, oh, okay, maybe I could scoop that out. And I just feel like it's gonna like do it at a much faster level. So you'd really be limited by the speed of your thoughts, I'd say. And then it could come time for mixing. So you'd like have to set up all the levels. You'd be setting panning. You would have, all of these different things that you can do. You'd have a master where you're bringing in a limiter and stuff like that. Essentially, you'd be creating music in your head, but as you're creating it, it's actually coming out as a sound, as a music file. So it's not going to be like you have to go through this arduous process of going and mixing and all of that, but you could just think of the song and it's going to be made, and the clarity of thoughts will come, just like how you see this entire video, right? I started off somewhere and now I'm getting somewhere, but it takes time, and then you have to sit back and edit all these things that you've thought about, and then make it into a finished product of sorts. And then what if this was mixed with social media, right? So today everybody shares stuff on social media, on Instagram, on YouTube and stuff like that. So you could think of tracks and then share them on social media. And what this made me very, very interested in is like, what if every person had what if what if every person had like their own soundtrack, right? And this would be so unique. This would be so unique because it might be possible. I think that it might be possible that people who listen to music a lot might be very, very talented in thinking of music, but they lack the skill to bring it into life, you know. And there would be other people who are very, very talented in like playing instruments, but they lack the skill of thinking the music, of being creative. And this could be such a beautiful thing, right? Like, because whatever you think in your head, you know, if all of it comes from sample library packs, you don't need anybody new. But if what you've created is really something new, and there's like some sound that you've thought of, right, which or some frequency range or something that you can think of, but you've never tinkered around with these softwares, you could now think of these different ways of if you could create new sounds. Now nobody knows how to make that sound. So here's where 3D printing would come in. You know, so let's say I had this idea that, oh, this is the kind of timbre I want it to the musical instrument to sound like. And there is no way that, you know, I mean, you could create it through synths. You could create that sound through synths, but what if you wanted an acoustic instrument which has interesting resonances and frequency and timbre? So yeah, so right now the limitations for creating a keyboard, you know, or a guitar, you know, they are made a certain way because the limitations would be, you know, wood can only be cut a certain way. You know, the strength of materials could be a limiting factor. But what if you could, you know, what if you could have a 3D printed house which is printed with cement, but it's made in such a way that it is also a musical instrument, you know. And again, like, as you see, like, I've been jumping from one topic to another. We had artificial intelligence, now we're at Ableton. We thought about like a pencil, and then a 3D world and a virtual reality world where we could, what kind of, I mean, I think that kind of hit a dead end, but maybe there's something there. We thought about brain-computer interfaces, and then what Ableton Live 15 could look like. And yeah, and now we're thinking about a 3D printed guitar or a 3D printed new instrument like that. And this is where BCIs would be so fun, because my brain could communicate with your brain, and it could communicate with your brain, and it could talk about like, let's say I tell you that this is the kind of sound I'm looking for, but I'm and the second person is an engineer who really understands sound really well. So they could have the skill of thinking how to make that instrument, but they couldn't make it because you were never there to point out that this is a requirement. So I feel like this is how the creativity is going to work. So because of your need of hearing this particular sound, now there is an engineer or somebody who has a sonic temperament, along with being an engineer, could now design this product, and now there could be the whole world using these instruments in their music, and then you've created something new. And then what is that world going to look like? So yeah, this is some thoughts that I had. Of course, once you talk about brain-computer interfaces, you could say that why? Let's talk about our senses. Why are our senses only 5? And how could we heighten them? So the oral range for the human being is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, right? But what if you could create an extension to your brain that allows you to hear sounds which are below 20 hertz and above 20 kilohertz. Once this invention comes into play, this essentially means that once this invention comes in, this means that all music will change. Like so this thing that I was thinking about is you could hear like a Frank Sinatra album, right? You could hear like a Frank Sinatra album and be like, I hate these MP3 files. You just hear only 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. What if I want to learn, or what if I want to hear these sounds in 50 kilohertz? Because now that I have this brain extension device that I can hear frequencies that bats can hear or dogs can hear and stuff like that. What would the future of the music industry look like then? Would this cause us to change how we look at music? Because I thought about this, like sometimes when you come to mixing, you'll find that there are certain frequencies while you're mixing that they're annoying, and you're trying to get the mix to sound clear and really loud. So with mixing, that's the issue. But any person who's ever mixing, he's always mixing between 20 to 20 kilohertz, right? And that's the whole thing. Now they would have to change up all plugins. There would be new plugins in all the digital audio workstations. There'd be new plugins which enable you to equalize in the entire frequency range. And this leads me to think about filters. Okay. Filters, right. Uh, I'm sorry if I'm like jumping too fast between topics. But yeah, I wonder if this should be like a live format. If you think that, like, please let me know, okay? But anyways, this leads me to think about filters. So what is a filter? A filter is like a water filter, right? What are the types of filters? There's like a mesh filter, right? Vocal filter. What are some types of filters? This is the point when we'll do some research, right? Let's look at some images of filters, right? So these are the kind of filters that, air conditioning filters, yeah, air duct filters for sure. AC filters, right? Air duct filters, so on. But since we are talking in the realm of digital audio workstations, this is going to be really fun. Now, think about a filter. Whenever you hear like somebody doing auto tune, right? So you have auto tune. These are like some filters that people use. Auto tune on their voice. They would have pitch correction, reverb, delay, and so on. Now, it's arguably possible that, some people's voices are just annoying. Think about somebody in your life and who you think has like an annoying voice. Well, they have an annoying voice, but they have nice, interesting things to say, and you just wish I wish they had a better sounding voice, something that sounded more authoritative, something that, projects confidence or something like that. Well, what if you could have an electronic filter, on the BCI, which is connected to your brain and your throat, and you could buy an extension for your throat, right? So this extension could be electronic, or it could be printed organically using stem cells, so you could grow out, like in your own body, you could put like a culture inside, and then you could grow out a different voice box inside, and that's like more intrusive, kind of like Botox. But if you were thinking more in terms of like, as my voice goes out, I want you to hear it in the best way possible, right? So I could add a filter to my voice, and then you would hear it in a more desirable frequency spectrum. Another thing for this could be like, I think, individualization. So I might think that my voice sounds good with this particular frequency filter, but what if you don't think that way? So you could hear my voice in 3 different versions. One would be my original voice, Well, by the way, you're not listening to my original voice right now. What you're listening to is my voice being emitted from my throat, which is hitting the diaphragm of this mic. It's vibrating, which is causing, I think, a, a small crystal or like a magnet to kind of register those voltage variations, which is traveling into the computer. And then it's that voltage variation is being chopped really, really fast into uh, amplitude signals and frequency signals, and all of those signals have a value, and oh, yeah, so I just have 10 more minutes, I guess. But all of those, your voice, each of those slices is like slicing that voltage signal, and each of those slices has a frequency and an amplitude parameter, and it's stored in bit information. So a particular amplitude would be like, let's say 2, it's like 1 0. Particular frequency is just noting all of those things down, and then it's traveling through, you're probably watching on YouTube, yeah, and it's going again from zeros and ones. It is going to your digital to analog converter, and then it is going to the speaker, where the diaphragm is being moved again by manipulating the magnets, which is causing the diaphragm to move, and then you're hearing the sound, right? But this is the limitation. The first limitation was my voice, that as it was being emitted, there are some errors, like this. I wish I could draw it and show it, okay, we'll pick this up tomorrow, but my whole point was individualization was that I could say something, but when it reaches your ears, it could still be unappealing. So you could add another filter from your end, and then you could hear my voice in 3 different ways. You could hear it through my own voice, you could hear it through the filter that I have placed, just if you want to hear it, and you could hear it through the filter that you have placed, which just makes your world and more appealing, more aesthetic, and just more of what you want the world to be like. So I think that we are going towards a future where we could have all of these capabilities in digital audio workstations. And this is just what I can think. I'm sure the people at Ableton, or people who are running Logic or Pro Tools or any of these, they must have much better ideas, or maybe not. I mean, it might be possible that I've thought of something new here, and perhaps they could be like, hey Akshay, you are a pretty creative guy, why don't you come work for us? Be like, thank you so much, give me some money. But yeah, so okay, so let's recap. Okay, we have how much time left now? Okay, so I have like about 5 minutes left, 7 actually. At the start of this episode, I had nothing, right? I was procrastinating, doubting myself, and just afraid to put myself on camera. But as I dived in and got into the flow, things became slightly easier. Now, this exercise right now, this exercise is essentially for one sole reason, okay, and that is to prove to you, to encourage you to be creative, and anytime you are having any troubles in your life, uh, you know, to think how can I make this better? How can I invent my way out of this? How can I uh, solve my own problem? How could I solve my own problem? And ironically, is that the right word? I don't know. But even if you're acting selfishly to solve your own problem, you are helping a lot of other people in the process, because you're making the world easier for yourself. And as a whole, if somebody else finds value in that, uh, you will be making their lives easier as well, right? So I'm gonna be doing this 1 hour every day, and I just want to be able to. I want to be very, very creative. I think that I have a different perspective, or maybe I just have the time to think and join these different types of ideas. But I really hope that I can this video has helped you in some way to be a little bit more creative, to not think that you're not creative, or you have a block or something. Many a times it just means that you just have to try something new. And in today's episode, I would say definitely one thing that I was being very free. I was open to every possibility, and I allowed myself that thing, that if I was just thinking I need a solution for this, I just need a solution for this, I'm kind of trapping myself in that particular bubble. But now, because I'm thinking, well, let's just see where it goes. I have like tons of ideas now, and look at that. I first I thought, like, 1 hour is going to be perhaps too much, and maybe it is for people who are listening. I can say that it definitely allowed me to be a little bit more creative, and I came somewhere. So I hope this episode of Retarded Creativity, I really like that name, was helpful for you. And yeah, be creative, guys. And yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm hoping that at some point this can be something that I can monetize. If you guys think that what I'm doing is of value, please let me know. Um, uh, I have a lot of plans. I'll probably discuss that in another video. But yeah, thank you so much for your time and patience, and thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome time. I'm gonna get going, guys. Thank you so much.